Hey, hi, Glenn here at the Gardens of Castle Rock, Schweitzer's Nursery and Landscaping. Now, running the chainsaws with the Grandberg Alaskan mills and milling wood is absolutely thrilling. It's so much fun. But in the big picture of taking logs to lumber, it is only a small part of it. And then once you have that lumber, then it becomes what do you do with that? So it's a very exciting, cool part of it. But drying that wood to get it usable is also a really big part of milling. So what I've been doing here is working on a system of making some pallets, some skids you can call them, to dry the lumber. I'm going to link to another video that I showed where I made the middle part, and this is one of the middle parts, the bracing I've already assembled for the bottom skids and 3 of the middle ones. Did a couple changes to the design since then. That's what I'm going to show you here today on this bottom skid. We're going to put one together. We're going to look at one from last year and then make sure you watch all the way to the end where we go out and we finish stacking up some of our wood that we milled for this. Now in this particular skid, I'm doing these for kind of a specific project. We have a project that we're going to be milling 4,000 to 5,000 square feet of 1-inch board. I really need that to not cup very much and warp. So these pallets are kind of a little heavy duty that I can really squish them down with a couple straps. In all my time doing landscaping and running pallets of block and pavers and everything, as soon as a pallet gets a little bit old, and I'm just going to do this as an example, on a pallet, and you just use the 2x or the small material, they can get old and they can fail and fall down. And when we stack these pallets up with a lot of wood, I want them to be stable. And something to remember, drying wood can be anywhere from 18 months to 3 or 4 years. So the maple that we're going to be doing, that's going to dry really quick. That's at 18 months to 2 years. But if we put oak on here, we're looking at 3 years easy for air drying. So we want a pallet that's going to be stable, which is the reason that I switched a little bit and went to a green treated lumber for the bottom, for what we'll call the feet of the pallet. And I already started putting this together, so you don't have to watch all of it go together. I already marked a line. We're going to center. So these pallets are going to be 8 feet by 24 inches, and there will be a little bit of space in between the 2x6s so that my line is offset to handle that. I'm just going to set one of the feet out towards the end. All right, in the centerpiece that I already have put together, and the 2 outside feet, I'm using 4x4s. And that little example of those 2x4s falling over, that can't happen when you have a square. So it's not going to roll, it's not going to fall over, these pallets won't be able to shift, which is why the 4x4s are used. And yes, you know me by now, I like to overkill things, so I attach these 2 in the center with a 2x4 so that it's impossible for there to be any racking in there. The other thing that's really important is how we're going to be storing some of this wood. It's going to be inside on floors. I want to be able to move it in. So the width of this is 11 inches. It's 11 inches wide. So when we get into our pallet jack has 15 inches in there, so it's giving me 2 inches of clearance to slide the pallet jack into these and move these skids of lumber around. Oh! There we go. And the very first one of these that I made it too big, and guess what I had to do? Take it apart and bring it down. So don't make that mistake. Okay. Going to put the first board on, and then we'll do a little bit of screwing. Now, something to remember here, we are not making kitchen cabinets. Yes, the more square things get, the better, and it'll be there. But we're also looking at kind of some efficiency and how fast we can get these things done, because there's fun things to do like milling wood. All right. Now another design change that I made here was my previous pallets I used 1x material on top. And what I found happening is when I would put the strap down hard, it would deflect. Now, let's go out. I'm going to pop that video in here, show you the pallet that I made last year outside, film that maybe last week. So we'll take a look at that and then we'll come back in. All right, just wanted to pop out here real quick, show you a couple of the reasons we made some modifications to this bottom skid. These are a couple of pallets that we cut the wood a while ago, stacked it up. It was in the shop for most of the winter, but when we did the stone pillars, we needed the space to work on the stone pillars, so these got moved outside, covered them up with a tarp, thankfully, because it snowed about 4 feet on them. That's almost melted, almost. But I did want to point out a couple of the things that why we made some modifications. You can see when we crank down here to keep it from cupping, we had a little deflection in the 1x material. That's why we went up to the 2x material. A little bit bigger on the bracing across the bottom, so the 4x4s in the green treated went to the green treated mainly because they might end up in water, and plus the wood that we're going to be cutting and putting on the new pallets will probably be on there for 3 to 5 years, and I can't tell you exactly where it's going to be put. But you can see these all strapped down, holding in place. We're going to open these up for a little bit because we need some of this wood for a project, but I just wanted to give you a quick visual on how these things get used. So we are going to go back in there and do a little bit more assembly. Okay, so there you saw how the 1x deflected. So we are going up to 2x material, 2x6. So that's really going to make a big difference in how that gets set up. Okay, I'm going to screw in a little bit here and then we will talk in a bit. I'm going to get this first board put on. Okay, there, first board is on. Something that I always like to do when we're doing a project like this is to make things so you don't have to measure every single time. So if you saw what I did on the end here, just because I didn't want this leg all the way out, foot all the way out to the end, I just used a piece of scrap 2x right here, and that was just my rough measurement on each end. So this time, now I'm going to take that same, and when I measured this all out, I'm just going to use some scrap 1x material, and that's going to be my gauge for putting the rest of the boards on. All right, let's get those cranked on. 4 boards are on. We're 8 by 24 inches. One last step in making this pallet complete, and that is putting some 1x on there. So I'm going to put some 1x4s right on top of what we just put on. Line them up. So something in the system that I'm doing here of air drying slab wood is, and you'll see it when we go out and look at the pallet that we already stacked up, is all of our stickers are going straight in a row, because when we clamp it down, then we get that nice, clean, solid, level, even spacing in there, and that goes a long way. So we don't end up with little waves by not putting our stickers in there nice and straight. The other thing with the stickers, the green treated wood is good to go down below. That's going to have some ground contact, like I said, sitting possibly outside for 3 years before they actually get used, or somewhere. But when we're drying wood, we don't want the green treated to actually be touching our wood, because it can transfer some of it. The color can come into it. So that's why we're just using regular 1x material. The other thing is, I put the bottom together with a 3-inch construction screw, and they were coated, so they wouldn't have any problems fall into the green treated. And then I'm going to use a 2.5-inch just to put down the 1x material. So all that we're going to do here, and this is pretty slick, which means our first sticker is built right into the pallet. And level for the very first one. No stranger to the shop. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
What's that? Hello. It's Ben. Looks like I hit the one below. All right, so I will finish screwing the rest of these down after the video. But one thing I did want to point out in this design is it's recommended that you have your stickers about 20 inches off center. So some of you may have been asking why we did the double right in the center. So as we're stacking these up, we are landing right at 20 inches off center on all of these. So we'll have that nice balance in there. And if we end up with a shorter board in that 4.5, 5 foot range, we're still going to get that nice coverage when we're stacking and sticking. There we go. That is the pallet that we came up with for our system for drying, air drying some slab wood. So we're going to pop outside. We're going to show you a little bit of stacking up the rest of the milling that we did last week. Those 2.5-inch or 10-quarter boards, we're going to stack those up and get them strapped down so you can see how this system works. I did link to, I'll put a card up there, and I'll also link to the video down below. The first one about how to air dry slabs without cupping, and that will show you a little bit more. It'll show you the middle section that we put together. Do appreciate you watching the video. Please leave a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, ding, and we'll see you again. Thanks so much. Enjoy.